Ew, a badussy?
It's a badussy on my shoulder. I think that's how it's supposed to look, though. It's supposed to
Yeah,
be puckered.
it's supposed to perk out like that.
It's supposed to be PHAT.
Fat, just like my pussy.
Just that's gonna be our intro.
Hello and welcome back to the Plot Peak podcast. I'm Miranda.
And I'm Mackenzie, and this is your one-stop shop for storytelling.
Tea spilling.
And to keep up with all the latest book talk drama that you have been missing out on, bitches.
Yeah, we're back. I know we're giving you guys a lot of content, aren't we? We're giving you books, we're giving you series, we're giving you life updates. It's just so much fun, isn't it?
So much fun. I think it's more fun than only doing Throne of Glass. For a while, I feel like we've been like a Throne of Glass fan page, and that is not what we intended to start out as. So we're switching it up, guys.
Yeah, we definitely thought that we would be going through Throne of Glass a lot quicker than we are. So we have done some revamping, and hopefully we can still give you guys the stories of Throne of Glass, but make it much more condensed and quicker. Not so storytelling, just quick to the point, what you need to know, and then we'll talk about the important scenes whenever it needs to happen.
Yeah. And I think we've been talking too about some of the other books we're going to cover. We're going to kind of switch up some styles. Some will still be like kind of storytelling. Some will literally just be fun like topic coverage and like big points and stuff. So let us know what you guys like, what you don't like, what's your favorite, what's your least favorite.
Also, we are always open for book suggestions. So if anybody has a quick read book that they want us to read and like rehash on the podcast, let us know.
Let us know. We always love a book suggestion. Speaking of, I know you're going to ask me what's new with me. Let me tell you,
I
I'm
was
so
just about
excited.
to.
I'm
Okay.
so excited. I finished Fourth Wing and Iron Flame this week. I know they're both very long books. I've done nothing productive this week other than read. All of my free time has been reading. I've been rotting on the couch with my page turner on my Kindle.
Ooh, love that.
Phenomenal. Okay. Loved them. Love, love, love. I'm gonna have to reread ACOTAR, but I think I might like them more than ACOTAR. And you know that is saying something because I am obsessed
Wow.
with my High Lord right hand.
What would you say makes you more sold on Fourth Wing than ACOTAR?
I don't know. I can't tell if I like them more just because they're fresh in my mind. Um, so I kind of want to go back. I want to reread ACOTAR at some point anyway. But I feel like the action scenes in these were so much easier to follow. Like I could picture them so vividly in my head. Whereas for some of the scenes in like Wings and Ruin, like there were so many like war type scenes. They were really good and really well written, but for some reason I could just follow the ones in Fourth Wing really, really well. Like I felt like I was in it. Like I felt
Yeah.
like I could see everything, like I was in it. There was so much, I mean, I wouldn't say a lot of spice, but the spice that was in there was lots of tension building spice, which I love.
Yeah.
And enemies to lovers, forbidden romance, fantasy, dragons, like a dystopian type world, corrupt government, like really just exciting the entire way through. Like I was never bored. It was so, so good.
That's a very convincing book review. Because I'm obsessed with ACOTAR, and that's like what birthed this whole podcast. So I'm excited.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh gosh, it's so good. I'm definitely going to reread ACOTAR. I want to reread them all whenever she announces the
The
release
last
for the
one.
sixth book. There's two
Yeah.
more.
2 more
Two
for
more.
ACOTAR?
Mm-hmm.
I thought there was only 1 more. That's news to me.
Mm-hmm. On the book website or whatever, she slotted for two more. The names just haven't been released yet.
What do you think the next one is going to be about? Do you think it's going to be about Azrael, or do you think it's going to be about Elaine?
I think it's going to go in the same theme and I think it's going to be about Elaine. But I think the difference between like the first three and the last one is the first three were written in first person POVs, and there weren't a lot of differing POVs either. Like
Mhm.
it was mostly Feyre, and then like it would show some other little behind the scenes things, but it was pretty much all from Feyre's POV.
Yeah.
But Silver Flames had a lot of different POVs and it was written in third person. So I think that it's going to be Elaine's book, but I also think we're going to get Asriel's story as well. And obviously, I
Yeah.
don't know if they're going to be entwined, but if they're not, I think we're going to get both. And I really hope we get something for Lucian too, because he's having a hard time out
I
there.
feel so bad for him. Yeah, I was like, right now his Riz factor is so down. Elaine seems like she already has the ick from him, and he hasn't even hardly done anything.
I really do want to see what's going on in her head because, like, the way her reactions to things, I'm like, why are you acting the way that you're acting? I
Yeah,
want to know what's going through her head.
yeah, me too. I'm curious to
So,
see that. Well, for me, I will tell you my life update is we have started transitioning into winter slash Christmas season over here. So we got our stockings hanging up and some ornaments and
ooh,
stuff. We've been doing a lot of rearranging. I found a china cabinet for my bongs and bowls,
oh,
and I got it for $50 from an estate sale.
oh, that's so
Actually,
cute.
or thrift shop. It was originally being sold for $150 and I got it for $50. And I'm so happy. It makes me feel like an adult having like wood piece of furniture and it's like a glass display cabinet. I think it's so cute.
You said such an adult thing for my bongs.
Yeah. Well, before it's so funny
It's so
growing up
cute.
because I was like trying to hide them and I'm like, who am I hiding these from? This is literally my home. And then they were just like kind of scattered around. And I was like, I should at least, because I love bongs and bowls. I think glass art is so beautiful and I'm obsessed with glass artwork. And I would continue to get all of these, even if I'm not using them, just to have and look at because I think they're so cute and beautiful.
Well, and it's also not like it's illegal where you
No,
live.
it's not. Yes,
It's
that's the other thing.
completely legal. You're an adult and it's cute. It's like a fun little every now and then hobby.
Yeah.
Or more than every now
I
and
was about
then.
to say, I was like, it's
More
a
often.
habitual thing.
It's
It's okay. I
okay.
have no shame in my game these days. I like you said, I am a full grown adult in a legalized state, and I don't let it control my life. I just have fun with it. You know what I'm saying? Mm,
Ah, we love the devil's lettuce around here, baby.
slay.
Unfortunately, I will projectile vomit every now and then, so I don't usually partake anymore these days.
Yeah, it's a tricky thing to do. You know, some people really rock with it. Some people sink with it. You're one of
Yeah,
those people.
I don't get that cutesy, relaxing effect. I am like, somebody needs to take me to the emergency room because I'm pretty
You're
sure
like
my heart is gonna explode.
the palpitations. Yep.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then you'll run around and you'll say, Miranda forced me to do drugs and now I'm dying.
That was my go-to in college. I'd be like,
I
"Miranda
was like,
made
quit
me take these.
saying this.
She forced me."
And you're like, and now I think
Oh,
I'm dying. And just so you know, it wasn't because of me. I didn't want to do it. So
you heard it here first. I will gaslight you.
she will. That's so funny.
Oh,
All right. You ready to get into the story time?
yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. All
Yeah.
right. So we're going to be going over Sarah J. Maas's Queen of Shadows, chapters 40 through 50. So if you're new around here, this is your warning. We're going to be storytelling everything that happens up to and through this book. But before we jump into it, let's do a quick recap of what happened so far. Manon discovered that Lady Caltaine is being used by Duke Parrington as they experiment with her shadow fire. And a light is working for Manon to get under the mountain and find out what's happening to the witches who are part of the new breeding experiment. Aiden finally accepts Rowan as part of Aelin's court, and Rowan is trying to digest the fact that his new queen will always want to have a little bit of independence without him. And then we found out that Lysandra is a really powerful shapeshifter, locked in the form that she's now in since magic was vanished. And where we left off, Aelin seems to be planning to take out Arabin once and for all after their dinner tonight.
Dun dun dun.
All right. And I know we just left off on Aelin, but today we're going to be picking back up in the Morath location with the witches. So Alide was able to sneak down underneath the mountain and get a peek of these yellow legs in the breeding experiment. And when she gets out, she is shook. She runs back up to the where the witches are at. She's sobbing, she's peeing on herself. It's not cute. It's she's very traumatized, very scary. And she tells them what she saw. She said that the witches down there were being chained up to the tables. They were crying and screaming and begging for mercy. They looked like they had already given birth, and they looked like they were pregnant with more. And this is what really shook most of the 13. When she saw the babies, they were not babies. They were like demons, essentially. She said that their skin was like black diamond, and they had snouts with fangs and teeth. And their fangs, they weren't like the iron teeth witches' teeth. It was like black stone. And so anything that they thought would be resembling the witches was not in there. It was pure demons, pure Valg, and it has the witches all shook, essentially. And I feel so bad for Elide because she really wasn't ready to see all of this gruesome stuff and scary stuff and torture. I feel really bad for her.
Yeah, I mean, she did. She agreed to run with Manon, and Manon said, "We are going to take full advantage of this." But I do feel bad for her. I really do.
She's just a
Just
little girl, and she doesn't know what's
oh,
going on.
she's chained. She didn't even know she was a witch like yesterday. Poor thing.
And now she sees what they're doing to these witches, and she's already scared that her uncle is trying to use her for that too. So it's like
That is so
she's just
scary.
figuring all of this out, and then she's seeing firsthand what they're doing to these witches, and it's just very scary. So Astrid and Manon, they get into it whenever they hear all of this that's happened to the witches. And Astrid is not holding back. She's like, your grandma is shady as hell. And she's not even responding to our messages that we've been sending to her about how shady everything is out here. So why are you following along with it? You know it's not right. You know this is against everything we stand for. What's going on? And Manon demotes Astrid again. They get into another like really big fight. I think Astrid draws blood on Manon at some point, which is a huge no-no. Like somebody in line attacking the heir of their clan, like that's a huge no-no. And so she's lucky that Manon didn't actually kill her. I think she had a couple other witches like separating them. And so she sends her out, she demotes her, and they're gone. Tension's obviously getting thicker, and Elide actually stands up for Astrid in her own specific way. But she confronts Manon with this question: is this reality you're facing worth the hope of getting your already lost kingdom? And I feel like that was a very brave thing to say to Manon, because she's saying, like, are you willing to go through all of these things right now, fighting with your best friends, fighting with the people who are closest with you, demoting things, changing things, living like everything's on edge. You don't even know what's right, what's wrong. And then she tells Manon her other secret, that she knows who her mom is. Her mom died saving Aelin. And she believes that she's been enduring all this time in the tower, trapped with her uncle, and hopes that Aelin was just buying time to get stronger and to reclaim her throne and kingdom and eventually come and save her. Lyde goes on to say about how she would fight tooth and claw to be by Aelin's side, but she also knows the boundaries that she's not going to cross for that hope of a restored kingdom. So I feel like this is just another way of just kind of giving Manon a new perspective to look at and kind of register what's actually going on. And like, is this the reality that you want to be living right now? Because I know what I'm going to be fighting for. I also know like who you are. You're a great person. We don't have to live like this. You can stand up for something else, you know?
Well, especially now they're actually abusing other witches. And I feel like she's really fighting hard against that. Like you were saying, like that, like order, obedience, cruelty. Like, this is what we do. We follow these orders. This is what we do. And being like, we don't have to. We're stronger
Yeah.
than this.
Yeah. So I think like Manon is just, I think Manon is getting close to that point where she's like, yeah, I mean, why am I still fighting for this? But she is also the heir of the clan. So that would be such a big thing. She's kind of like in the same position that Dorian was in, where she's like, yeah, I know my mom's kind of fucked up, but like, I can't do anything because I'm the next in line. I'm her child, or like the heir. So it's like that kind of pressure to be good and stand by that loyalty to stand by your parent or your family. It's tough.
Yeah.
Uh,
I'm excited to see how this unfolds.
yeah, me too. I feel like it's gonna be like drama. Like everything's gonna hit the fan. So Parrington, he's still doing his own thing. He has another request of the 13. He actually demands that he wants another coven, specifically Black Beak witches, to continue the breeding program. And Manon, before she could even interject on like, no, I'm going to think about this a little bit more, he tells her that they have another mission for the 13. And they want them out to this village by like the White Fangs or something. I think that's what they're called. This little village down the mountain full of tribal people, I guess. And there's known rebels down there as well. So he's like, I want you and your 13 to come with me and my men, and we're going to go down and we're going to attack this village. And she's like, oh, shoot. Okay. And she gets down there with the wyverns and everything, and she has Lady Caltaine with her. So they have Lady Caltaine with these wyverns, with these 13 witches, and they fly down to the village. And Parrington tells Lady Caltaine to let loose. And so she sets fire to this whole village. Everything's on fire. The people are screaming. The houses are burning, but nothing's burning down because she's got the shadow fire.
I envision it as like if smoke from a fire was just raw, like burning, molting heat.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
molten
yeah, yeah, yeah.
heat. But it's not like flames. Like things aren't gonna
Right.
burn down. It's just gonna like melt and scorch everything.
Long story short, she is burning everybody's houses down and they are panicking. And it's actually so bad that Manon is getting cold chills. And that's saying something because the witches thrive off of violence and murder and chaos. So the fact that Manon is feeling any type of opposite feeling to this is kind of telling. After a while, though, Lady Caltaine's flames vanish and she hits the end of her magic well. And Parrington is like, all right, I need you 13 to go down there and finish them off. I want you to kill the rest of the village. And normally, this would be like a field day for the witches, but they also hate Parrington. And whatever he and the king are up to, it's slowly coming to light that it's not going to be benefiting them. But they get down there. Abraxos gets her down to the edge of this panicking village. When her and her 13 fall into line, they draw their weapons and they made the screams begin. And I just feel like this is just a really dark and confusing time for Manon. I think I've already said that, but like I just feel like there's a lot of conflicting things happening that she would normally be very okay with, but for some reason it's shining a new light.
Well, and also there's so many people that are above her now that are giving her orders that she's always been told not to respect, that they are not above them. And her
Yeah.
grandma all of a sudden is now like, no, we ride with them and we listen to them. You take orders from them. And I feel like she knows, she feels like something's off. Like this isn't their normal, natural way.
I just don't understand how Manon's grandma can be so like particular in one way about how Manon behaves, but she's so like conforming to these humans and the king and Parrington whenever they don't really have anything that looks like that's going to be benefiting them right now.
Mm-hmm.
It does seem shady, like Ashton said.
It's shady. That's for sure.
So, all right, we're going to go back to Rifthold now to Araben's last dinner. It's the night of the dinner with Araben and Aelin is dressed as she should. She is dressed as a queen, or as Rowan said, the fire-breathing bitch queen those bastards claim she is. Yes,
Love that.
she's wearing like a skin tight velvety black dress with this gold dragon clawing the way up her back. It's so stunning. She's so beautiful. And I don't know if you guys have seen any pictures on Instagram of like the AI pictures of Aelin wearing this dress, but it's stunning and it's beautiful. And this is exactly how I envision her. It's just so elegant and powerful. The only flaw with this outfit is the fact that she has to be wearing Araben's body oil with his scent. And I think that's also very creepy and gross, but the fact that Rowan also added it onto him before he got to the dinner, and he was so sassy to Araben when they got there. He was like, "Thanks for the oil, by the way." I thought that was so funny. I didn't see him doing that.
I know. I feel like that's the first time we got to see Rowan's kind of like playful, petty side a little bit.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I love that."
I think that's a really good way to describe that, the playful petty, because yeah, he's usually so serious and like just straight to the point, but he was like planning for this kind of interaction, which I think is so funny.
I also feel like it definitely shows a little bit of, maybe even if he doesn't realize it, like a little bit of jealousy. Like he's
Ooh.
I don't want you. One, I think it's gross that he asked you to do this. Two, I don't want you wearing another man's scent. Like, I don't want you to smell like anybody else. And if you are, then I'll smell like that too.
T.
Kind of love it.
It's kind of a power play in its own way. I mean, I do think it's kind of ballsy that he did it because I'm like, if I were Arabin, I'd be like, why are you wearing like that would make me feel weird if I was Arabin. I'd be like, why is he wearing my oil? That's interesting. Like, what's he doing here?
I love it. Love it so much.
So they get there, they bring the Val guard down to the basement, and Aelin brought Rowan and Aiden with her. So they get dismissed upstairs, and he tells Lysandra to go entertain them while they, Arabin and Aelin, stay down and interrogate the guard. And after about 30 minutes of minimal splicing, their demon was ready to spill all of the tea, and he tells Arabin how the king was able to control all of the guards by giving them their wordstone rings, cutting their arms, and then licking their blood, which formed a link from them to the king. And once this demon guard is out of useful pieces of information, Arabin cuts off the finger of the ring and slashes the guard's throat, killing him. Tragic.
Tragic.
Tragic, RIP. They go back upstairs, and Aelin meets the boys and Lysandra in the drawing room, and then she secretly hands Lysandra a note. Keep your eyes on that.
Suspicious.
It is, isn't it? Dinner begins, and Arabin is doing his thing, trying to get a reaction out of most people. But Rowan and Aelin are having a conversation of their own, a little mind conversation. Rowan raised an eyebrow after hearing the story of how Aelin threw a dagger at Lysandra's head when she was 17 or 16. And then Rowan was thinking to Aelin how 17-year-old him would have reacted to a 17-year-old Aelin. And mostly because he couldn't really speak to girls that age and he was just too flustered by them. And he was also saying, also, if I saw the way that you were dressing now, I would be even more hot and bothered. And Aelin was like, well, what if you knew that I also wasn't wearing any panties underneath this?
Oh, she is a shameless flirt.
She is a shameless flirt. She is shooting
Doesn't
her shot.
care.
She's like, hey, what about this thought? T.
Did you know I'm sitting bare cooch on this chair?
You are?
No.
Oh,
Aelin.
I was like, didn't we just have a conversation how you have like
No.
children across your apartment?
We literally are in mid conversation about Aelin pantyless. You said you? You are?
You? What? Because she has a dress on,
Oh.
so she's not like cooch to chair. She's got the dress on.
Okay, semantics. I was just saying, obviously, the joke was missed. Let's move on.
All right.
Anyway.
Long story short, Rowan is also giving me fuck me vibes. So it seems like he's flirting equally back with Aelin. He's told her that she looks very beautiful. He's talking about how sexy she looks and how flustered she makes him. And eventually they get so lost in their own little mind conversation. They look up and Arabin is giving them essentially the death glare. He's just like, everybody's quiet. And he's just staring at them. He's like,
Can I help you?
what's going on? What are you guys saying? What are you guys doing? And he finally addresses the elephant in the room and he asks Aelin, what's it going to take for you to stop fucking around with my money and my investments, aka like the vaults and the pits and everything she's been destroying? So she's like, I'm willing to give you a little bargain. Let's go make some deals in a private room over here where we can talk some special arrangements, just you and I, mano y mano. So they go to this other room and she basically tells him how she can't trust him because of all the shit that he's done to her. But maybe if he returned her family heirloom, she could try to consider retrusting him. And conveniently enough, he had this heirloom, the amulet of Morath, in his pocket. So he pulls it out and he gives it to her. And they both give each other the same kind of threats to say, listen, I help you, you help me. And if you screw me over, I will screw you over. But what I really wanted to talk about after this whole arrangement went down was when she grabbed that word key. It said in the book that everything in her began to scream, not right, not right, not right. And that is giving me bad vibes. And I'm feeling scary that she's going to have this. Because, I feel like have we talked about how it kind of engages like what your will is? Like if you have good intentions or bad intentions, it kind of feeds off of that.
We haven't talked about that. Like there was a lot of talk in the book about the holder of these keys. They're not inherently bad or good, but it's kind of like the beholder's wishes. It's power. It's just raw power. And so if you have bad intentions, you can use them for bad intentions, like the king is doing to make and do all of this dark magic. And if you have good
Mhm.
intentions, like it seems like Aelin's parents had, they were using this word stone to protect their kingdom and to become like a powerful nation. And the only reason they were felled was because the king had at least one word keep, probably maybe two. So it sucks, but what can you do?
What can you do? But I have bad vibes about it, and I don't know. I'm scared. My prediction after reading that was that it's going to corrupt Aelin somehow, and she's going to turn into a bad guy, or like it's going to suck her powers out, or something like that. Like I have bad vibes about it, so I'm scared.
It's also a lot of just magic, just
Yeah.
heavy, heavy magic. I'm surprised. I guess maybe she can feel it and she's feeling those vibes from it because she's like a magic wielder. And maybe since Arabin isn't, like he didn't feel anything weird or off about it, you know?
Mhm. Yeah, that's true.
Because he didn't even know what he was giving away. He never would have given it away without a fight.
Exactly. Could somebody like him benefit from something like that? That's magic if he doesn't have any magic wielding abilities. If it is raw magic, you know?
I don't know. I don't think it would give him magic. It might could like protect him because I don't
Mhm.
think you actually have to wield it. But I don't know. It doesn't really go into details about that in the beginning.
Yeah.
So interesting questions.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure we'll figure it out. You know, we're in that part of the book where there's a lot of questions and not a lot of answers. So they make their agreements and their deal, and they basically say, you know, we can show that we're on the same team. You come back here tomorrow, and I will help you make plans on how we can take down the king. But as she's getting ready to leave, Arabin has one more thing to say. He gets close enough to kiss her. He grabs her hand and he whispers, I'm going to enjoy having you back, as he shoves the demon's ring onto her finger, cuts her hand with his nail, and licks her blood. And then he orders her to blink, to smile. And each command she obeyed without hesitation. And then this creep gets up in her face, grazing his nose across hers, and he tells her to say, I love you. And she does. And then he clarifies, no, say my name when you say I love you. And
Ew.
she does.
Ew. God, this is horrible.
No. And then he tells her to take his carriage home, go to sleep, hide the ring from the others, and come back to the keep after breakfast tomorrow. Now, before the dinner, Aelin had told the boys to keep out of her business no matter what. So, with that threat, when the boys heard everything that just went down in their private meeting, they didn't make any moves for her until they got back to the warehouse and Arabin's carriage had left. And that's when she lifts up her hand and pulls off the ring and says, so that's what he wanted. I was expecting something grander. Now, for me, I have to say, I was personally victimized by Sarah J. Maas reading this. I was scared to shit that she had just been taken overboard to Arabin's side. I was like, this is literally ruining everything. This is terrible. Where do we go from here?
Oh my God. When I read this, my stomach dropped. Oh my God. And I feel like that also just shows she's a great actress too. She was doing everything that he said. She was not blinking, not moving a muscle other than what he said. She was ready. She was ready for this.
Yeah, that is insane. And she knew that he was gonna do this too, so that's why, like, I guess it was not letting us know what she was going on, what was going down with the guard when they were interrogating them.
So icky.
So icky. God, I hate Arabin. Hate, hate, hate. He's such a gross man.
I know. I wonder how far she would have gone. Like if he would have tried to push things farther. I'm like, girl, did you really think this through? Like how far what would your limit have been? Because I want to
Right.
know.
I feel like at that point, yeah, well, because she couldn't just kill him. Well, I guess she could kill him. Good thing it didn't get to that point, I guess.
Disgusting. I guess although she
Disgusting.
had Rowan and Aiden downstairs, Aiden, so I feel like how
She was
much
well
could he
pregnant.
really realistically have done? Ew,
Yeah.
God, so gross.
Get out of here. So we find out why Lysandra gave Aelin that box also. She had apparently a very talented jeweler who was able to make a replica of the Wordstone ring and the amulet of Orinth. So that's what Aelin put on the Valgard's hand is the fake word ring. So whatever Airbin got, it was fake and it wasn't going to work. And then the Wordstone or the Orinth amulet was a replica because now that they have it, they're going to hide it somewhere and they hide it under a little floorboard, and they have the fake replica on her dresser as a display in case anybody wants to come steal it. And then she
Mm.
goes up to the rooftop. She stands watch and she's still in her gorgeous black dress. And after some time, Rowan comes up to check on her and see if she's ready to go kill Arabin. And then she tells him more than any of them what Arabin has made Lysandra do, she deserved to kill him. And that's why she gave Lysandra the secret note, is to tell her that he's all yours. You can do it. So Aelin is up there with Rowan. She slides her arm around him because she's freezing. It's raining cold out right now. It's cold and rainy. And they continue to talk, and they eventually circle back to how weak in the knees she made him tonight in this dress, and with the image of her not wearing any undergarments. And after seeing the dungeon, and after seeing the dungeon where the love of, sorry, we got to get serious again. And after seeing the dungeon that held the love of her life mutilated body, she was tired of holding back. So she turns in Rowan's arms and she looks at him. She places her hand on his face to wipe the rain that's running down. But when she moved her hand down to his tattooed cheek, he grabbed her wrist and threw them down, saying, "Don't touch me like that." And Aelin is mortified. She's apologizing and she's trying to say it was nothing. It was all nothing. And Rowan is like leaving her there. And he's like, "Good. That's great." And when I tell you, after reading this thing, my heart was breaking reading the scene. I'm
Yeah.
just so annoyed with Rowan because all she can think about is how embarrassing it was to think that she could make a move on somebody who had just lost his mate. And he's immortal, she's not immortal, and she's also very inexperienced, and she's going to be his queen. Like, there's just so many things that she's like, stupid, 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 stupid. Oh, I just feel so bad.
No, that's so sad. My heart actually broke because you could see in the book, like, she was like, I was stupid to even think this. And it's not like he's giving her all the signals that would
Yeah,
encourage her to feel this way. Like, she's not stupid for thinking that.
I felt so bad. Yeah, I would have been the same thing as her. I would have been like, I'm pretty sure he wants to have sex with me, and so I'm gonna make my moves because he's obviously not going to do it. And it could have been such a romantic moment with the rain and everything, and then he's like, "Ew, don't touch me like that," and then
Ooh,
leaves her. I
icky.
would I would shave my head.
Yeah. It would certainly set me off in a bad way.
Yeah, I don't think I'd be very happy after this. And she wasn't happy. She gave him the cold shoulder for a minute after this because that was hella rude. Hella rude.
Yeah, it's so
But she's a
sad.
professional, so she kept working with him, obviously.
Obviously. Well, and he's blood sworn to her. There's not much she can do. So
That's true. Oh, so awkward.
super awkward.
Okay, so the next morning, Aelin slash Selena gets notified about Arabin's assassination. And they head over to the keep. And this is the last time that she's going to be playing Selena Sardothian, the cruel, heartless, angry girl she used to be, and the one that Rowan and Aiden has never seen before. So this is about to be a shock for them. Obviously, the assassins who stayed at the keep wanted to assume that it was Selena who killed Arabin, but they had eyes on her last night, and they're like, "Actually, we saw you crying on the rooftop after your man pushed you away." So they know it wasn't her who killed him, and that's the only reason why
Embarrassing.
they invited. That's so embarrassing. I'd be like, "Great, awesome, that's so good. I'm so glad I'm not a suspect." So they invited her to the keep because they have to get the bank teller there to read Arabin's will. And they knew that out of all the people there, Selena Sardothian, his protege, is likely going to be on this will. But the tea is when the banker gets there and he reads Arabin's will, they find out that he left everything, fortune, assets, and all other holdings to Selena Sardothian. And the other people who are in this room, because I think Clarice and Lysandra were here as well, because Clarice was promised a good bit of money from Arabin and she was going to be in the will, and the assassins knew they would probably get something. They are livid. They are like, there's no way. That doesn't sound right. Arabin would not just give everything over. There's no way. And in Selena's defense, she said, "Well, you know what I heard? I heard that he did leave everything for me. And from what I understand, this home is mine. So I'm going to give you guys like 10 seconds to get the fuck out of here. Otherwise, I will be killing you." They all had a skedaddle. They got out. And she left the remaining assassins that were in the room. She was like, "All right, here's the deal. I'm not going to be a complete bitch. I will let you guys keep this home, the keep and everything, if you guys pay me whatever the total equivalent of all the stuff that Airman left me in cash. So they have to trade her the money and they can have the keep, and they agree. So that's a little arrangement that happened. And then Aiden puts it all together on why she did all this. Like, because he was like, this seemed a little too calculated. Like, this seems a little too convenient that you're just thinking of this on the fly. But he realizes this is why she had all those visits to the master banker to withdraw some money, to get a feel of the bank layout. And all those nights that she's been sneaking out had been working on switching out Aramin's will. And Aylin confirms, and she said, yeah, and if I hadn't done that, Clarice actually would have gotten most of the money, and the remaining assassins were going to be successors of the keep. Like, I wasn't in the will at all. T.
Oh gosh, that just shows her master planning ability. So God, I'm
Genius.
obsessed with her planning.
And you know what's crazy? I feel like I can't even plan without writing things down like step by step. And I feel like, thinking all this out and on the fly, like that meme where she's doing like the math in her head. She's like, I'm like,
That
how are
literally
you
is
doing
her.
this?
Well, and I love it though too. She was like, I can't remember if she said it to Rowan or Adian, but she was like, "You said we needed money for war. Now we have it, or for our
Yeah,
kingdom.
yeah.
Now we have it." I was like, "T, oh, you're so smart."
Genius. Genius. Love
It's
it.
like we're gonna kill him anyway. We might as well get something good out of it.
Yep. And she did. Bet. So, okay, moving on from that whole ordeal where they got the money, Aylin also found out that there's an opium seller who was selling some supplies for Hellfire. And if you don't know what Hellfire is, just know it's a fantasy version of the atomic bomb, depending on how much you use. And after some additional sleuthing, she found out that there's a secret catacomb under the sewers of the Shadow Market where the sellers were hiding things. So she thinks that's where the ingredients for Hellfire might be. She brings Rowan, Aiden, and Kale down with her to help find those supplies so that way she can use them to blow up the clock tower and free magic. But things take a turn when they get down there. The catacomb appears to be the temple of the god of truth. The ground, the walls, the ceilings are laid with bones and people's deathbed confessions. Lots of tea being spilled, dating almost 900 years back, which means this was around during the time of Gavin's ruling. And another red flag is Gavin's sword is also known as the sword of truth. So that means he must have had it blessed by the Sin Eater, aka the god of truth. So now they're all wondering, what was Gavin's confession that could have gotten his sword blessed? And they get to the very back of these catacombs and they meet a wall of white stone with word markings carved all over it. And in the middle was a giant rendering of the eye of Elena. And as soon as Aelin stepped onto this stone, her sword turned cold as ice, or Damaris, which is actually Gavin's sword, turned cold as ice, and the words markings began to shift on the wall. Aelin's able to decipher these word markings, and it translates to this. Aelin and Gavin were mates and the first king and queen of Aderlin. It described the war that happened and continued with the remaining Valg demons after they were banished by Brannon. Apparently, when they invaded the first time, it was with the Valg kings, and one of those three kings had been trapped here. And he appeared as this beautiful man with golden eyes, and they called him Erewhon, the Dark King. But unlike how most stories were told that Aelin and Gavin were able to take him down with the Eye of Elena, the truth was they didn't kill him.
Mm.
Nothing they tried, no weapons, water, fire was enough to take him down. The Eye of Elena was only able to put him to sleep for enough time for them to build a sarcophagus of iron and some other indestructible stones, seal him deep beneath a black mountain in a labyrinth of doors in a space so small no light, air, or anything could enter. And after this terrifying revelation, Kale was like, well, listen, maybe it's a mistranslation because we don't even have a black mountain out here. And Aelin turns to Rowan. She asks him, what was Black Mountain translated into in the old language? And then when he answered Morath, my jaw was on the floor. I was like, you're kidding.
Oh, I have
You're kidding.
chills on my body.
Oh, and I'm so scared because we know that Harrington has been so shady and sus about what's going on underneath that mountain. And I'm like, is he freaking alive right now? Or are they trying to dig down there and get him? Like, what is
Wake him up. Yeah. That was, I vividly remember when I was reading this, I was like, oh my God, whatever they're doing in Morath, they're trying to wake this Erewhon. They're trying to get him participating in the war. It's so scary because Morath has
no?
been like a dark cloud the entire time we've heard about it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm like, Morath just seemed like a random place to be for a little bit. I'm like, I guess that's just where they're growing their army. But yeah, the Dark Cloud is definitely very on par with it because it is spooky.
Oh, so scary. I cannot wait to find out more.
Okay, and then we got a little bit of Dorian watch to go on because we know he's still trapped in there, but we get little snidbits and stuff going on. And what we found
Snidbit.
out this snidbits, is that what it's called?
No.
What?
Like snippets?
Oh, is that what it is? Snip bits?
Like snippets.
Snippets.
Snippets. Snidbits?
Snidbits. You knew what I was saying.
I did. I shouldn't have even said anything.
You shouldn't have said nothing.
That's funny. I've never
Anyways,
heard that before, but go on.
writing it down.
I'm going to write
Snidbits.
things Miranda says. Mispronounced words today. Made up words today. Anyway, tell me more about your
That's funny.
snidbit.
Okay, so Dorian, the tea with him, whenever he does arrive to the surface and kind of peeks out on what this demon is doing, he gets little visions. So this is what the demon is doing lately. Right now, they are working on some type of torture device. It looks like a mask that they are able to put on people. So whenever they're interrogating them for answers, they can like kind of tighten it more to see if it will torture them enough or like squish them enough to where they're like, okay, fine, I'll speak. And Dorian gets so upset that he wants to vomit, he wants to scream, he wants to cry, but like we've said, he can't because the demon has full control over his body. He has nothing other than eyes occasionally. So that's just tragic. It just feels so bad for Dorian for peeking out, and it's just always terror and torture and horrible things. Poor guy.
It's so sad too, because in these little like POVs of Dorian slash demon, like each time we see him, he's forgetting a little bit more. In the beginning, he was like, I remember the girl I loved. Like he didn't remember her name, but he was like, I saw her, her be decapitated. It's all my fault, blah, blah, blah. Now he's like in some of these little POVs, he's like, what happened? He's like, I know I was upset, but I don't remember why. I don't even know if I want to fight anymore. Like I'm losing everything. I don't even remember my name. Like each little spot of him, we're losing like more and more of Dorian. It's so sad to
It
read.
is really sad. And then I guess to end on a lighter note, my other comment is on Lysandra. I have a feeling that Aiden has a crush on her. I can't tell quite yet, but I do feel like he's definitely entranced by her and he also a little bit scared of her. And it was definitely made known more because when they were talking about what her favorite things were to shapeshift into, Aelin gave Lysandra the suggestion to be a snow leopard, which apparently is a terrifying creature for a lot of these beings. And Aiden is like, please don't. Please don't. I'm already terrified of you now. I could not imagine you as a snow leopard.
I think Aiden was also already scared of snow leopards, and he's like, please don't.
It's like, that was the worst suggestion I've ever heard you say.
Now I really hope that she gets to be a snow leopard one day.
I'm pretty convinced that magic will fall. Aelin seems to have her shit planned out to a T, and I trust that her plans are going to come to. Yeah, she's got plans in the making.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the end of this week's plot. Next week, we're going to be going over chapters 51 through 60. So be sure to come back for that.
And be sure to follow us on TikTok at plot.peak and Instagram at plotpeak podcast for all things updates. And also, we are going to start doing some smaller book episodes where we're going to do them in between these Queen of Shadows episodes / Empire of Storms is next, whatever. But we are going to be announcing the books that we read like a week or two in advance on our Instagram and TikTok, so that if you do want to follow along like it's a book club, you can certainly read along with us. So follow us on socials so you can stay up to date with that, or just be surprised every week. It's up to you.
Sneak peek though, we are reading Coven by Harper Elwood.
I am so excited. I am 3 pages in, and I already think it's gonna be good.
I am a little bit into it as well right now, and it is good so far.
It'll be interesting because these will be the first, so we're gonna try to switch up the genres a little bit too, so, it might be a little bit of, like, a learning curve as far as, like, switching genres, like, how we wanna tell it, how we wanna talk about it, so stay tuned, friends.
Stay
All we
tuned. We'll
got.
see you guys later. Bye.
Bye.